So what I'm going to introduce to you today is the Sustainability Design Orienting Toolkit, SDO. Now we'll speak a bit about this tool in general terms. So Sustainable Design Orienting Toolkit. I will introduce aim and description, how to use it, the integration within the MSDS methodology, and the availability and requested resources, as for every tool that we are introducing. So the aim of this tool is to orientate the design process towards environmentally sustainable, socio-ethically sustainable, and economically sustainable, combining those, because SPSS are those business models that are win-win of a model that combine the three pillars of sustainability. Okay? So that is a software. It's modular in the sense that we have different parts. In fact, we can analyze an existing system in a qualitative terms in relation to environmental and socio-ethical sustainability, and to give priority. We can even make analysis of best practice. So case study, many times designers do this before starting to design. To generate a sustainability focused idea, and this is the core of the tool. This is what you have been using already the other time with some criteria and guidelines related to SPSS applied to DE. And then finally, to check the concept that you developed that far in your design process in relation to environmental and socio-ethical sustainability. So how is the concept going? Well, actually, you developed, you hope that it's well performing, but it's a good. It's good many times to make a check before going on, because you may discover that something that is not really going in the direction that you want. Maybe you generate some ideas that are promising for some environmental issue, but then they are not that good for other environmental criteria or for socio-ethical reason or so on. So it's good to make an overall check, because dealing with, as you may have understood, dealing with sustainability, its dimension, it's quite challenging and complex issue. Complex doesn't mean that we cannot deal it, but we have to use all our intelligence. So how to use the tool? Well, the version of online, you have the address, though in the class we are using a different address. And then you log in with username and password. Then you have to upload a project if you have it already inserted in, or you type a new project, and then this will be you can load it right after. There are some languages that you can select. Then you click on OK, and you go to the main page where you can fill some fields. And these are, for example, the satisfaction unit, what is the company, or who has given to you the brief to design this and something else. But then actually you go to decide on which of the sustainability dimension you are going to work. For example, here for the environmental sustainability, so you click on environmental sustainability. And there inside you will find a structure which is similar for the environmental, socio-ethical, and economic sustainability, if that is one of the tools that we have online, or the one that you are using. We skip the economic sustainability, though it's included in the other, because any SPSS is at the same time economically interesting and environmentally or socio-ethically interesting. Okay. So if you go there inside, the first, let's say, sub tool is that one to set priority or to analyze the system in a qualitative term. For example, eating in the Bovisa campus. And to do this, how you're going to do that? So you have clicked there. You will find the six criteria we have been working on, discussing, and hope you been able to very well describe them in your text. So system life optimization, resource reduction, and so on. So you will find the same 6 criteria here. And for each of the criteria, you have a checklist. The checklist is a question. And it's a question like the first one in relation to system life optimization, are infrastructure with short lifespan used in the system. So there are all questions that help you as a designer, maybe not that expert in system life optimization or environmental issues, to know what are the good questions that you have to answer to yourself in relation to the existing system, the ET in Visa campus, to understand whether there are problems related to that criteria. Okay, so you have, and you can go from one checklist to the other. You have from maybe 3 to 7, 8 questions. It depends on the criteria. Okay, this helps you to understand, by giving the answer to understand whether there are problems or not. And in fact, to answer this question, then you will be able to describe actually kind of a short report about the environmental problem related to each of the criteria. Okay? So here you don't have to reply, are there infrastructure with the short lifespan? Yes. No, you have to say, there are some infrastructure with short lifespan, and these are this and this, and for this reason, and so on. Okay. So this is, to make an analysis of the system in relation to the different criteria. And when you do this for each of the criteria, or each of the 6 criteria, you will have a, 6 short report, qualitative report. And at that stage, you are able to say, well, for what I've been understood, for what I understood in relation to system life optimization compared to toxicity, for example, here I see, oh wow, I have lots of problems, and in toxicity I don't have that much, and so on. And so you are able to define priority. So the first one, what I said, system life optimization, is a high priority because I discovered this by answering to the questions, and the other one has a lower priority. And you remember that was really quite important because many times people or designers are not aware, even on product design, on system design, of which are the main problems. They think that waste is the biggest problem. The only problem that exists is that. Okay, that is not the truth, or not the truth for all the systems. So it's good to understand which are, the key strategy that you have to address at first. Systems life optimization is the biggest problem where you can gain the most in environmental terms. Well, that is a good information for you to concentrate a lot on these strategies in terms of idea generation and so on, to come out with the most promising results. Okay, the same check that you can make for the existing system, the EDU of Visa Campus, you can do for some best practice. For example, there is in the Netherlands, there is a sustainable campus with a canteen that is seen as the most interesting in terms of environmental sustainability. And so you can study this, and you can study this again, trying to answer to the checklist in relation to the different criteria. So you highlight which are the positive things, and maybe even the negatives, because it's not so that everything is fine over there. So again, you go through the different checklists, and then you are able to write a kind of a short report divided per criteria per each of the best practice that you decided to do. And then there is the key part of the tool is the one in which you can generate idea. You have made this analysis, you have defined priority, maybe you did even best practice. Okay, so now you have some preliminary, quite useful information to start generating idea. So you click on Orientate Concept, and you go to the Sustainable Idea board, where you find 6 idea board, one for each of the criteria, for the environmental, for the socio-ethical, and so on. Here are for the environmental, and so, for example, the first idea table is related to system life optimization. There inside you find the guidelines that are guidelines on a system level, so in terms of promising interaction, stakeholder interaction that may lead to system life optimization or to resource reduction if you are in that table, or waste minimization if you are in that table, and so on. And so here you have the guidelines. You can click on the example, because not each of the guidelines has an example, but if you click there, you access to an example which actually is located on the Lens platform, on the case study section. And even that could be inspiring you, giving you some information, some insight, and so on. So you can even give a look at that. And then there are these digital post-it. You click on the button and you open a field into which you can brainstorm, and you can write your idea there inside. And okay. Remember, what is really key important here is that the idea are on a system level. System level, it means there should not be product-oriented idea or technology-oriented idea. Idea in terms of innovative interaction among the stakeholders. Okay, so what we have been studying so far, something that is related to the guidelines that somehow you have been studying. So how many guidelines have to study? Maybe you say it's not that you have to remember everyone by memory, but actually in terms you have to know in general terms what are the orientation related to that. Okay. The same happened for the socio-ethical dimension. So you click on the socio-ethical oriented concept, you find the 6 idea table with the different 6 criteria, with a different set of guidelines that may support you, with a different set of example related to the guidelines, and then you brainstorm and you generate the idea. Okay. Again, here remember that the idea generation, we are in the exploring opportunity phase, in which you don't have to just focus on one concept. You have to explore all possibilities. So even though one idea seems to be really outside of what you were thinking on as the main idea, doesn't matter. You have to be open and take any idea, because then right after it could be that one idea that seemed to be really out, it could be even the leading idea, but it could, because of some reason, that appear to be, or combined to other idea. In fact, it could result in a win-win solution when you have to then frame your concept. Then you check the concept. So you get the idea, you cluster this, you will see another tools in a while, and you will work with our tools and blah blah. Then you have a concept, a system concept idea. Okay, let's check it before going on. Let's check if this is environmental and socio-ethically sustainable. So you click on check the concept, and you access to a similar page. So you have the 6 criteria again. You have again the checklist. So they are the same question, and you answer to those questions in relation to the existing system. So if the infrastructure for system life optimization were with a short lifespan, or the packaging in relation to transportation or something like this, and in your concept this has been improved, well, you will write now the system is made in this way, so we have very long-lasting or intensively used products and something like this. So it has to be a kind of again, qualitative report. So you will have actually 6 qualitative reports, each for each of the 6 criteria for the environmental sustainability. Okay? And when this is made, it will be possible for you to define if you actually achieve an improvement. The level of improvement that you will highlight, it won't be today. We will do it in a few lectures. you can say, well, nothing has changed because you realized you didn't do any improvement in relation to resource reduction, for example. Or you did something, but you said, well, this is not that radical as it should be. So maybe you will highlight its plus, its incremental improvement. Or you said, well, I changed really a lot of the system that is from radical innovation in terms of reducing environmental resources. So you select double plus, say radical improve. So it's a qualitative you get it on, a qualitative evaluation. It's not a life cycle assessment that gives you a number in terms of global warming reduction and so on. But anyhow, it's a knowledge-based evaluation. So it's not a stupid thing. So it's important. It's important to do it, and many times to make a life cycle assessment at to that level when you have very many products, it could be really a hell of a job. Even for me, that I've been doing life cycle assessment for several years, that could be really a hard job. Okay, so you can do it maybe in a certain stage, but at the concept level, maybe it's more easy to make a qualitative evaluation. And then you can click on radar, and you assess to a radar diagram which shows in a synthetic way, and you have to click on radar, the performance of your product in one chart. Okay, so you find the 6 criteria. You have different circles. The darker one is equal. It means that nothing has changed compared to the existing system. Your concept has not improved if you find that you are there. If you are in the circle of plus, it means that in relation to that criteria you have an incremental, and double plus a radical improvement. So for example here for conservation biocompatibility, you have with a low priority, you will find there is a priority is highlighted because you have assessed before that your existing system for that criteria has a low priority. Okay, that you have to improve, but it's not really the one you have to have more concern on. And for that you have an incremental improvement. And then you have a space into which you can type in a synthetic way why for that criteria, what is the reason that you have an improvement in relation to that criteria. So this is a chart that makes a synthesis of the performance of your concept. And for example, here you can get the point that if for a criteria for which you have a high priority, so it means that for, let's say, system life optimization, I have a high priority. I should improve a lot because maybe all the product doesn't last anything. Everything is, not intensively used or whatever it is. And you make, you don't have any improvement. Maybe you have to go back to brainstorm again and to generate some new idea in relation to that. If you have a radical improvement where you have a high priority, then you say, okay, I did good. All right. It could be that sometimes you have even something it's going worse than it was before because doing something positive in one direction, you discover that it could be that happens sometimes. Okay. And again, here you have to realize, and you can even identify and find out which is the best compromise. Because if you have the priority, that helps you to understand whether if there are two ideas related to a concept that are in conflict, in the sense that one produces an advantage for one criteria and maybe it's not that good for another criteria. Well, if you have the priority related to that criteria, you say, okay, I can save this idea because it's related to something that is more important than other. So maybe I sacrifice something related to waste minimization, but since I have a radical improvement in terms of resource reduction, which is the key point of my system, then I go for that, so I can save the idea. Of course, if everything it goes well for all the criteria, that's great, but this doesn't happen all the time, so it's good to have this. Well, as we have the mechanism for doing this for the socio-ethical dimension, it's just the same. So we have a radar, and we have priorities, and we have improvement, and so on. Where we integrate this, we integrate in the strategic analysis when we made the analysis of the system and the definition of priority. We can do that even in analyzing best practice. As I said, we can use this in idea generation, and we can do this both in system concept design, but even right after in system detailed design to make the environmental assessment, to make the check. Even though when you, at the end of the process, maybe even some quantitative system to make assessment in environmental and socio-ethical terms could be positive when possible. You know, many times it's matter even of time, competencies, budget, and so on. But at least if you don't have anything, make at least a qualitative assessment. And that is feasible, you can do that. Okay? Here is not that difficult, you are helped because you are guided, in fact, in doing that. The tool availability and the requested resources, so this is a software tool, it's free online. You can actually download this tool for a local installation, so even in your laptop or a university can download it. And since there is an admin section, you can even change the language, change the criteria, the guidelines, and so you can reconfigure this. Because maybe the way in which you teach or the sustainability agenda in your country is different and the region is different from this. So even this is open source and copyleft. Okay, and basically we have this in different languages. This is the online version. The one that you are using has only two, but you are all good in using English, so it's okay. So what you need, of course, is a computer, an internet connection, and if you download this, you have to download the software. And actually, since so far this software, now we are working for improvement of the software, but since this software is a web-based software, you have to download what is included in the package that you download, something that makes your computer to be understood by the software as something that is online. It's not your computer in a server somewhere. So it's like a web simulation, because this is a web-based tool, so it makes your computer to act as being on the internet. Okay, and the time that is requested is a maximum of an hour and a half.